DJ LeRoy.
Night Watchman, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well. How are you?
Not bad. So Night Watchman, that was an interesting film that we checked out, man. You know,
Absolutely.
I was not prepared, but
Mhm.
when we talk about stuff, we talk about timely. But I think you said something. Did you say like disturbing or powerful? Which one? Choose.
Let's wait and get our guests out before we get into it.
Okay, Night Watchman, you always
And,
want to take the
and
easy.
I want you to give these guys a real introduction, man. They deserve it. We want to set the table for our audience. So
You know what? Just so I'm not biased, and remember, she's from another borough, which is I don't say it's another planet. You got to have Salma. Okay, you got to have her come on out here. Yes, Salma, how are you, my dear?
Hi, very well. Thank you so much for having me.
No. Thank you for really like Night Watchman. She seized the moment.
mhm.
She knew that this was out there, but she also did it the right way. She said she knew that she was going to have this private screening. She said, you know what? I want to hear what these dudes have to say about this. And she invited us all to the show, as they say, huh? And Night Watchman, did it disappoint?
What, your introduction? Absolutely.
But
You haven't said anything about who she is. Come on.
well, I want you to say that part. I bring them out, and then you do.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you're switching.
I mean, I'm happy to introduce myself if you want.
Yes.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you, Salma. Go ahead, Salma.
As a producer, I know you're gonna get it right. So.
That's true.
And
My
also
name-
co-founder, though, of Black Man Films. So come on, Salma. Do tell us.
Salma Qarnain. I am the co-founder of Black Man Films and the producer of a film called Silent Partner. But myself and my co-founder, Roderick Lawrence, wanted to have a film that was very much about what's happening today and what he has experienced himself. So that's the inception of the film, and we're just excited that we were able to share it with the community in Harlem, because that was the point, getting in front of the people for whom it was made. And because it is a Harlem-based company and a Harlem-made film and a Harlem story, we wanted to have it seen within the community.
Beautiful. And you notice that I let you get through that. I didn't say anything about Brooklyn. It was beautiful. So Night Watchman, why don't I just bring out Roderick? Because you mentioned his name. Let's bring him out. Yes.
All
What's
right.
up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
Good. Okay. So Night Watchman, is he like represented here with what's that? Is that Black Yankees, man?
Black Yankees. That's right. Negro Leagues right here
Come on.
in our space way back when,
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
So I cannot believe. So Black Man Films and Black Yankees. Come on, this is black.
I saw black on black, all black everything. So,
That's right.
got a room for everything black, is there? So
So
man.
Roderick is the co-founder of Black Man Films and also the lead actor and co-writer of the film that we saw, which was called Silent Partner. And write that name down, folks, because I think you might hear about it later on.
we hope so, man.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I want to stay in Harlem, baby. I want to do that. So,
Yeah.
so why don't I bring out Cameron? Why don't I do that? Come
All
on.
right.
Yes. There he is.
All right.
Hello.
What's up, man? All right.
What's going on, people?
So talk about like a small world. So, we got into a little discussion about what? Can you say Steve Williams, one of the developers of the Victoria? Come on, baby.
That's right.
Where, by the way, and you all should know, remember we have, convertible black box theaters. Can you say Silent Partner playing there?
You can see it.
Okay, there you go.
Everywhere.
So, okay, Summer, just so you know, yes, I did it. Because remember, this is what I'm talking about. Okay. So yes, you got to bring up Eric. Eric.
Okay.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Eric, you are definitely existing on fumes. I know that. and I also understand that you may have to jet because you're covering this. This is what we do. This is what Bronx natives do. We look out for others.
Okay, all right.
You tell me all about the journey, baby. Go ahead, man.
How's everything? Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate being
Absolutely, brother.
here. I'm the director of Silent Partner.
Okay, absolutely. And Eric, though, man, because you're a Bronx native, so what brings you out there? And of course, I'm digging the swag in terms of the Knicks. Go to New York. Go New York. Yes. All right. But tell me, what brings you out to the West Coast, man?
I've been on the West Coast. Career brought me out. Filmmaking. Grew up in New York. Grew up in the indie film scene in New York, and then at a certain point, just had to make the jump out here to keep the career moving on the West Coast. So I'm here now. I have a shoot later today, so up early in the morning to do this before I got a jet and be back on set.
So for folks who do not know, cinematography, describe that. Tell me your day. What do you do, man?
Yeah, so cinematography is, my purview as a cinematographer is pretty much everything that is photographed on a film set, right? So the sets, the actors, the lighting, the composition, the framing, all those things fall under the purview of the cinematographer.
Beautiful. NightWatchman, I know you're a little frustrated filmmaker yourself, so you have some questions, man.
I'm not frustrated about anything. That's totally untrue. What I want to say though, let's keep the focus on Eric here, because Eric is a celebrated cinematographer, and Silent Partner is his directorial debut. But as a director, he also has that sensibility of a filmmaker. Now, when we saw our screening of Silent Partner, the thing that jumped out to me is that, Eric, you painted a visual love letter to Harlem. The way you shot Harlem, the way this film depicts Harlem was it was marvelous. So tell us a little bit about, your journey with this film and your sensibilities and what you wanted to put on the screen with this film.
Yeah, so this film, Silent Partner is really about, a story about a couple, Silas Jones and Kosi Jones. They're a Harlem couple doing very well for themselves. And so, the crux of the story is Silas, as a lawyer, sitting with the consequences of a case he's taken, a woman he has to defend in court. So, it's important for us to really highlight the difference between Silas and Kosi's life in Harlem, and then when Silas kind of has to put the mask on and go downtown and be in the law firm, and be kind of out of his world a little bit, out of his comfort zone. And so, in our depiction of Harlem, it was really a matter of ensuring that the audience felt that Harlem was a safe place, was a home base, was a cultural hub, a center. All of these things is really what influenced our depiction of Harlem itself.
And one of the things, and NightWatchman, that was excellent phrasing. Props. Yes. And Eric, as Black and brown folks here in a multicultural city like New York, and as you said, going downtown and actually having to speak another language, we often find that challenging. So I love the subtleties that you had to do with this film. Is there anything that kind of like stood out for you?
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of, I think Roderick can also speak, to the performance, but I think, the visual language, the cinematography, the production design, the look of the film, the performances kind of all shift depending on where we are in the world and where Silas exists in space at that moment.
Wow, yes. Roderick, I've met Silas's before.
Yeah.
You're definitely a Silas, man. Tell me the performance. What did you draw on, man?
Yeah, the hardest thing for me, as I talked to you about, discussions we had the other night, or if you see me speak at other places, and just my demeanor in general, I'm kind of the opposite, the way that I move in the world right now. So I guess, you know, being that, like, I've gotten to being opposite from being in those situations and having that I remember, you know, obviously not a lawyer, obviously an actor, but you know, the crazy thing about doing this film and doing the story was that we realized, and I realized, you know, all of my best homies from, you know, high school, whether they be lawyers or doctors or whatever, you know, my brother's a doctor, you know, all of these things, we're all going through these situations. So even though I am very different than Silas in the way that I'm moving in a lot of ways, I've definitely been in those situations, and it just, you know, you draw from it's a blessing when you get to when you can play a role that obviously you can draw from very, very personal things from, and then the more that you're living in the space, like the more that I'm living in the character, the more I can feel my kind of skin crawl through those moments, and you know, you just try to be present in that skin crawling and in those thousand cuts, and hope that it portrays that way in the screen.
Yes. And I guess one of the things in Night Watchman, I think I spoke to you about this too. One of the things, Salma, that I didn't necessarily feel yet, where is my Black support system or whatnot? The Jack and Jills, the Links, all them, because you know, you in that Black middle class, that's your support system. And I need to know that they also are having those similar struggles. They can compare notes, you know. So that's one of the things I just felt like, hey, are they all alone on this freaking island?
I don't think that's a question for me necessarily, but for Branco and Roderick. Yeah, because that's not, I mean, they're not alone on this particular island. It very much is something that everybody who is Black and brown experiences to varying degrees, right? So somebody like me won't experience the microaggressions and systemic racism that somebody who is like Roderick will on a daily basis, because there is a hierarchy of race here in America, and based solely on, you know, your skin tone, also on your accent or immigration status, right? So it's very interesting that, you know, all of the, while our main characters and protagonists are very much a Black couple, you know, we feel that this story will resonate and hopefully then also draw empathy with everybody else who can see themselves in Silas and Poncé as well.
Absolutely. And I guess, you know what, Roderick, go for it, man, because you know, Jack and Jill, Links, because you know the child, when the child is born, what are your connections going to be? You know, you're going to sign them up immediately for Jack and Jill and all that stuff.
Yeah, you know,
man.
I think it's interesting that you said that. I think that yes, those things are the support system, and yes, that's why they're there. That's why they were built. But I don't necessarily believe that those institutions are always like preaching Silas to go the way that Silas went in this. So I think that we gotta be cognizant of that as a culture, and as a people, and like what are like these institutions are these things that we built are you know, our safe spaces and the places that we check in when these happen. But if those institutions start to play in or start to model themselves after the institutions that we're trying to not be like, then it just cycles the same thing through. So then you know, it's not necessarily help us in that way as you know, we get asked, we get told about the things that people believe are unrealistic, you know, not going too much in the film, but people that the things that they believe are unrealistic, and you know, from our people. So that is very much those institutions, like not pressing not pressing that thing, you know. So I would, you know, yeah, you know, the support systems, we just have to, because we live in this patriarchal, you know, the whole moment that we're in right now, we just in our institutions have to not get too caught up in playing that game, so that our institutions start to model and follow the same type things, and then they also push us to mold into that space, as opposed to being the opposition and you know, standing up for ourselves.
Absolutely. Oh man.
Can you guys
Go ahead,
tell us a little bit about the journey from the inception of the idea to writing to, shooting the short film version to finally getting to the feature, and how you all came together as a team to shape and craft this film.
Where else? I guess I will start with that. Yeah, so the short was a COVID baby, and as everybody did, everything that was supposed to happen stopped. I was doing a play, and that was canceled. I was supposed to do a play that was about to open on Broadway. That was canceled. I went through the depressions and all the things that everyone else did, but different journeys of therapy and all types of things that I wanted to do, and I'm very active about being active as opposed to letting anything happen to me, and it just I discovered microaggressions, and microaggressions was something I didn't know what it was, and then I realized that it was taking over so many spaces in my life. That the death by 1,000 cuts really made a lot of sense to me, and it was wild to me that I had never heard the word before, or I didn't know the term, and that led me to a lot of different things. So I wanted to explore things that I think that we need to normalize, or that we don't speak about in our communities as Black men, as Black women, as a community in general, through art. And I had this idea for this short, and I had met Salma, my producing partner and co-founder of Black Man Films here, doing a play, and she has this amazing education and business background, as you spoke about before. I myself have been very into the thing that I've been in. So when I had the idea, and she had told me before that if I ever wanted to produce or do whatever, anything, that to call her, and I did, and she did. We did the short during COVID. Branco actually came to us through that. Branco shot the short. He was the cinematographer for the short, and it was amazing. And we just had a really epic connection. And kind of followed his career and loved his career through all that, So like 3 years later, when we came around, it was a blessing to be able to grab him and see that he was ready and able to be on that. And Cam, we actually grabbed from a film festival where we were screening the short. And screening short, and he was doing another short, and we just had kindred spirits, and the brother was obviously in Harlem and brilliant, so we brought him on, and become Black Man Films through that. But Silent Partner, we made 3 shorts, 2 other shorts after we made Silent Partner, and then it was time to make that feature, and there was kind of no more perfect time, unfortunately, than right now to do the film, and I'm just blessed to have put this team of giants together in those years to make it.
Beautiful. And Cam,
well, can I add something
yes,
to what Roderick just said? I just wanted to
go ahead.
give Roderick
You got
a
you, Salma.
shout out, because that's where we met Cam. It was at the Cleveland International. So we were there screening Silent Partner in Roderick's hometown, and Cam had a short film that won awards as well there, and met him, and very much were aligned with the vision. Then learned that he lived in Harlem and is a Harlem native.
Indeed. And Cam, we spoke about it, of course, Steve, but okay, don't take this the wrong way. Now, I know you are the type, because I told you I was dating a woman who went to Fieldston, right? We're talking Riverdale. So, of course, that's the first time I learned about Sag Harbor.
Oh yeah,
that's the first time I learned about it. Of course, what was that? Martha's Vineyard and the Black community there. Yes, so you, brother, I know you're one of those guys. I know you. So you got to tell me about your journey, man. Talk to me, man.
Yeah, man. And again, I'm Cameron Taylor Carr, the producer and assistant director of Silent Partner. And just to what these guys are saying, we just as we're speaking about Silas, our protagonist of this film, we wanted to showcase what is our reality when we are, Harlemites living here, but also are thrusted into our professions and have to really put on a suit, of armor to go into these spaces and literally have to infiltrate these places that are not built for us, and are working overtime, whether it's subconsciously or not, to keep us out of these spaces and keep us out of these leadership positions and these partnership positions in these places. So for me, growing up, as my pops was from the South Bronx and then grew up in Harlem, and he, for the first time in his own life, was building this sense of intergenerational wealth, navigating Wall Street and finance. And so he adamantly wanted to put his children in these spaces. So he found out, Sag Harbor after hearing about it from Black folks in these spaces. Oh man, you got to come out to Sag Harbor. You got to come out to Martha's Vineyard. And so that's how we kind of really sought out those places to try and give us this sense of community. On top of our fortunately being able to grow up in Harlem experiences in the world. So, these places are the havens. These are the meccas. And I often think about this as we look at Silas, right? He's navigating his own ship with his wife, and he's trying to look out for these places, but he's just trying to, get to the career at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And Eric, I see now why you and Cameron hit it off, because he mentions, of course, his father in the BX Baby, and and I definitely understand growing up, let's say in the Bronx, and going downtown, to Stuyvesant back in the day, right? But what spoke to you in terms of, let's say, film in the BX? When did that resonate with you, man? And Salma, you're not off the hook because I'm coming to you, right? Go ahead.
I don't remember there being a time when film was not my focus. I grew up loving movies, watching movies constantly, watching TV, and I grew up. I didn't know anyone that worked professionally in film. I didn't know anybody that worked in a creative field when I was a kid, but so much of the media that existed was shot in New York, was directed by New Yorkers, so everything I watched, I knew that somebody nearby was making this stuff. And so I knew I just had to crack that code and find these people. And so my journey was actually, I started acting as a child in off-Broadway plays.
Wow.
I studied at HB Studios as a kid, which is like a wonderful kind of theater-based acting school. Studied there, and then really I started making short films with my friends in high school. That my plan, I was going to be a writer, director, actor, and started making short films with my friends in high school. Bought a camera with my summer school money, and we would, we'd set the camera up on a tripod, press record. I'd run around in front of the camera. We'd act the scene out, run around behind the camera, cut it. And I would take the footage back and realize it was just the worst, most poorly shot film you could ever imagine. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I got to figure out why my movies don't look like movies. And, through that, discovered the art of cinematography, and then completely fell in love with visual storytelling and the art of cinematography. And that became my focus after that. I stopped acting. I fell completely behind the camera, and that, really became my strength. I spent 20 some odd years, trying to master that skill. And yeah, that was my journey.
Wow. Beautiful. Yes, Salma, I told you I'm not letting you go. Stanford, MIT, mechanical engineering, aeronautics, like what the heck? NightWatchman, are we scared or what?
I'm delighted that she is connected with all these powerful creative spirits and brings her talents. So no, we're not scared. We're actually overjoyed.
You should be. Thank you for saying that, because I feel very much that I was given some of these opportunities to be able to use them to the best of my ability for causes and missions and people and myself, everybody, to lift us all up and use that power to impact the world in positive ways. That's how I feel very much. So,
but I want to hear a little bit about the twist, because as you say, actor, producer. So, mechanical engineering, at what point in time did you veer toward the creative side? Because you've put your feet in a lot of different arenas. So
yeah, thank you. The short answer, because this is a very long story, is that I've always wanted to be in entertainment. I've always wanted to be a singer and an actor and an engineer. And since I was very, very little. Some of my first memories were of wanting to be a singer. And I grew up in a family that was from, or is from, India and Pakistan. And we immigrated here when I was very, very young. And I have one of my grandfathers, my paternal grandfather, was a filmmaker in the 40s and 50s, India and Pakistan. But he passed away very, very early. And so I never met him. But the interest was always there in the family. But of course, as an immigrant, the immigrant story is entertainment is not for you. Find something that'll make you financially stable, you know, and figure that out. Doctor, lawyer, engineer, pick one.
Yep. Yep.
So I can't stand the sight of blood, so the doctor was out. I loved to argue growing up, but only with certain people, my sisters, my parents. And what I learned, I had to probably speak in front of a lot of people to be a lawyer. I was like, well, I'm not sure about that. I was kind of shy. And then I did love science and math. You know, it was something that I was naturally good at. And I love space. So when I went to college, I thought, all right, here's my chance to do entertainment and satisfy, you know, my love of math and science. So you could either find me in the lab or you could find me in front of, like, on the stage or behind the stage. So I was at Stanford, I was part of Ram's Head Theatrical Society for many years, and then also had done mechanical engineering and aerospace engineering. Fast forward, I'm very risk averse. So fast forward to like having this dual career and dual path, I finally made the leap within my own self, thinking, okay, I now have, you know, a little bit of cushion to be able to try to even pursue what I wanted to pursue originally, which was acting and singing and entertainment. And so I gave myself that opportunity by moving to New York to become an actor full time. Like, that was my goal. And even by moving to New York, I felt like, okay, I've already achieved the success that I wanted by giving myself that opportunity. And so then fast forward from there, I made my Broadway debut 10 years after I moved to New York. So it's a very weird, different story than most people. There are things that, you know, the question is, would you have done it earlier? I mean, I would have loved to, but I'm naturally risk averse and wouldn't be. I don't think I would have had the constitution to withstand just the, you know, the constant rejection that you face within acting. But because I have this background, not only as an engineer, but as Roderick mentioned, I also went to business school. I went to Harvard Business School. I have the background to be able to already also tell the stories in the ways that I want to tell them by producing.
And well, one of the things, so has your family forgiven you?
They're like ecstatic. The whole family loves entertainment. But what my example allowed actually was my youngest sister to jump into entertainment right off the bat. And you know, for her, she's an extremely successful actor and voiceover artist in LA. Her name is Sarah Fussell. But she's on all of the different, you know, franchises you can think of, you know, like Marvel, DC Comics, Star Wars.
Wow.
So she's phenomenal. And having my example of it being able to be something and my just stepping into it gave her the freedom to do that. And that I'm extremely proud of that, because she's like, you know, she's not only my sister, but I consider her like a daughter as well. She's much younger than me.
Beautiful, beautiful. NightWatchman, you know that we're about to lose Eric. So I would love for him to have some parting last words, what to look out for, because it looks like you're getting ready to present something. Is that correct?
No.
Oh, well, for some reason then it looks like you're isolated there. But Eric, my man, you got to tell me, what are you up to? What are you about to do? Because I know you're hightailing it out of there. So what do you have on the horizon, my brother? Do tell.
Yeah, I'm heading to set right now. I don't think I can say. I don't think I can say what for, but doing a small project. But yeah, I mean, Silent Partner is coming out soon. We're in festival submissions right now. Very excited to premiere at a festival and get this movie out in the world.
Beautiful, beautiful, brother. All right, so if folks, so you said goodbye, of course, a while ago to the BX. If folks want to like reach out to Eric, because I need some work on cinematography. How can they reach you, brother? Tell us. We want to know.
You can find my website, ericbranco.com. You can hit me up on Instagram, Eric Branco. I'm around. I'm here.
Beautiful, beautiful. NightWatchman, you got any last words for Eric or what?
Like I said, Eric, we really loved your work on this film, and we can't wait to see what you have coming out. And we're going to continue the conversation about all the stuff that Black Man Films is doing. I mean, we just talked about one, but I understand you guys have a whole slate of films that you are working on. So let's hear a little bit about that.
Yes, that'll be good. That'll be good. Eric, thank you, my brother.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
BX, baby, all day.
And for those listening on the radio, I just wanted to clarify the spelling of his last name. So if you reach out to him, it's Branco, Branco. Eric Branco.
Right.
Salma, thank you. NightWatchman, see? And remember, you're Ivy educated mofo, and you got a spelling wrong. Okay, I'm stepping back. Okay, cameraman, we got to hear from you, man. You got to tell us some of the things, because I understand that you also had met Eric too, and brought him into the orbit here. And Black Man Films is the big thing. So, what other projects are you looking at, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think Eric Branco really put it well when he was talking about, the state of filmmaking, especially in New York. I myself, as a Harlemite, growing up, was obsessed with films and always saw like New York captured, right, by these big studios and also by these kind of more up and coming big names now, what turns into the Scorseses and the Spikes, and so I was looking for that community that just the same, and wanted to kind of almost, in a competitively ambitious method, like start the 2.0 version of that kind of film renaissance that they did when New York was kind of coming out and proving their ground, fighting against the West Coast productions. So the same way that Branco was looking for his community, that's how I ran into these guys. And again, Rod and I both living in Harlem, just again as filmmakers, with a real passion and vision of wanting to put this place on the map. I think is kind of everything for us. And so the last, prior to Silent Partner, on short film productions, the last projects we had made, about 35 of them, we all shot in Harlem. So it was, again, just a proving point to the entire industry that, you can shoot right here and capture the magic that is this world and this universe and these characters that can, jump off the page and expand and relate to folks who are, on a global scale. And so for us, with Black Man Films, we've got our kind of our first initial slate lined up of Silent Partner, which you guys saw on Tuesday night. We then have Speak Up, Brother, which is another film that we have already made a proof of concept of, that has had another serious, lifespan of success on the festival circuit. And then we have our third on the slate, which is my directorial debut, Harlem Fragments, which is, again, we have Silent Partner, which is our Black legal drama. We have Speak Up, Brother, which is our, ode to 90s Black love stories and rom-coms, and then we have Harlem Fragments, which is an Afrofuturist drama sci-fi. So again, covering many different genres and showing the versatility of the things that we create. So yeah, that's our mission.
Beautiful. And one of the things, so because none of you guys are real estate professionals, so I'm just thinking about bricks and mortar. And that's bricks and mortar in terms of, let's say, an office space in, let's say, Harlem. Is that okay? Do tell you guys are currently in the hunt for such a place?
Well, Rod, and I can tell you both. You know, every time we're at the gym, you know, or we're walking back or meeting up for coffee or something, right? Like we're always looking around us at spaces. Again, it's part of like what why we do this, you know, and that's the whole point. We want our HQ in Harlem. So
Yeah, Curtis, we don't we have I have a very specific building ask for you soon. Don't worry. We've seen, we it's I think that I believe we're really just trying to be intentional about
Okay.
what building business and community like means, everything from having that beautiful event that we had the other night and having the people there that we did to obviously we've been scoping out all of the new beautiful real estate that's coming in while admiring all the old stuff. But there's a couple of there's one real nice office building that was just put up that we really dig, that's right around the corner from both of us. So we've been looking and hopefully we'll be set up to be in there and be working for the next year.
Wow. NightWatchman, I think that other person, Curtis, will probably be getting a call from these folks. What do you think?
Your name is underneath your banner.
Well, the people on the radio can't hear this.
Sorry, Batman. Everybody knows you're really Bruce Wayne. Okay.
Oh my gosh, Okay. Salma, please tell me your thoughts in terms of a headquarters for Black Man Films.
I've wanted one for a long time because we are so collaborative that having face-to-face conversations. Well, you have to remember, we started this during the pandemic, so everything for that first short was via Zoom. We didn't even meet our actors in person until we had, them on set. So it was very interesting, and similarly with the crew, like it was all Zoom. That worked, but it doesn't work as well and as quickly as face-to-face conversations when you need to make immediate decisions and collaborate on marketing even in pieces. So not just the filmmaking to talk through and iterate on script, but also to have a great rapport with your team and with the crew, right? That face-to-face, it's very hard to replicate over Zoom. So I've been thinking about for a long time, we needed a place to stash all our awards, like any good producer. I feel like
yes.
But Roderick and Cam hold a lot of them, and I'd love to see them every day, to have a wall that has our posters, but also bring people in from the community to really discuss even ideas, right? And again, to do that building such that we can say, all right, let's have this event. Let's talk to the people around us. Let's bring the community in and get them involved in seeing what we've made and have them experience. Because the point of the point of filmmaking, people have different agendas, I guess, in terms of why they do it. I love making films for the conversation that it creates, to make people think, to make people feel, to move them in some way, right? That changes their lives and changes what they do moving forward. And so for me, there's certain seminal films. You asked me why I ended up in aerospace. Well, one of the seminal films for me growing up was Star Wars, and that ignited just imagination, in me. So it's like it stimulated me so much that it led me to something, and it made me love also filmmaking, right? So that is something that I'm very excited about, to have a space in which we can not only collaborate as a team, but also bring other people in.
So one thing, and you all know, in terms of, let's say, the one commodity that's not being reproduced or increased is land, plain and simple, right? So when I think about, let's say, series that were notable, I actually shift out to Queens. I think about Silver Cup Studios, that's one. And then I also think about Kaufman Studios. That's the other. Let's say in Manhattan, unless, you know what? Now, you talked about some new buildings, Cam and Rod, in Harlem. But let's say, what about raw space? What about a former sewage transfer station in West Harlem off of Avenue 12?
I'd love to retake that area because there's a lot of history of that sewage waste statement space and
Wow.
why they put it there. Originally because they were like, well, black folk are over here, so let's put a nuclear plant. Let's put our sewage stuff here. So if we can retake that and get it right to work on actual studio production for spotlighting Harlem, that's first on our list. So that's right next to Fairway over there.
Wow. Camp, I can't even believe you went there, man.
Oh, yeah.
Just because we had a film from the 70s and tell me that you remember Three the Hard Way, that that you're thinking that there's a conspiracy. Is that what you're thinking, man? Rod?
But it's the reality, it's like these are the things that you learn about in urban development and urban planning, right? They look at these places, all of our public housing, it's like now they all the things that they built, 70, 100 years ago, they can't even, it's like they've created a monster because they can't get rid of them for their gentrification because, everybody is in there. So they can't even try and demolish what they built for us originally. So I think that's why Harlem is so potent, right? And all over the city landscapes. Like that's why it has these levels and higher levels of purpose for us of why we do it. It's these missions.
Oh my God. So Rod, simply because people are coming after you, what doesn't make you paranoid, or does it, man? Tell me. Because I mean, you hear about this all the time, the plots or whatever that are out there. We certainly do know about Flint, Michigan. So tell me, man, thoughts.
Do you mean specifically on taking the land or on?
Yeah, because Cam even mentioned sewage treatment facility there. 12th Avenue. So yes.
Okay, but let's there's some history. Let's put some context into this. So
okay, go ahead,
you're talking about the sewage treatment plant of which Riverbank State Park is now on top of. Is that what we're talking about?
That is what we're talking about, which is now, remember, can be utilized because it's raw space, not just raw sewage, but raw space. But go ahead.
Right.
Yes.
So out of that, one of Harlem's most powerful nonprofits, We Act, was formed to basically ameliorate some of the what was coming out of that plant. And not only did they make changes that positively affected that situation, they also went on to address the bus depots in Harlem, and they are very responsible for creating the hybrid buses that now are all over the city that have brought down a lot of this pollution. So my point is that there's always, for every action there's a reaction, so the reaction is activism. And so, when we see something, we say something and we do something. And that, I think, fits into the pathway that Black Man Films is, because you guys are media activists. And that's what I see going on.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, in that, the cool thing about putting all of our minds and all of our strengths together with this team especially is that we've made a lucrative, very powerful in that way, universal device, like to do these things. So it's not like I think it's to the communism and to the space that we live in, it's almost disguised activism, as opposed to the activism that they're always fighting against. I think the more and the more that we do these things, and the more that we get out, and the more effective that we are, we will have more people who are trying to stop what is happening. But when that Silent Partner is not a Black film. Silent Partner is a film that is universal in all of its themes and real in everything that we deal with. And the two lead characters are Black. So like, and like you said, the cinematography, all these things, all of that is like that, that you can take everything that they don't like about what we're doing and take it away and be like, well, there's the money. Like, this is the money, it's gonna make money. I think putting a stage in this space that you can't put housing in, that you can't put all these other things in, but like putting a stage in this space makes money, for the community. It makes money for the city. It makes money for the state. But we in that. In the intention of it is all activism, and because we built it, and because we named it Black Man Films, and we know what all of what we stand for, it stands on activism, but it builds the community in all of those ways, and also X's all of the issues that they have with any of our other activism attempts, whether it be it not being money enough, or whether it be too front facing of like an actual opposition for them. This kind of, I think, the movement that we're trying to make of it, kind of solves all those things.
Yes, and go ahead, Night Watchman. You did tied it in pretty well. You got Rod to comment, man. What else you got for us, man?
Well, I wanted to talk about some of the other films you guys got on the slate. Now, tell us a little bit about this one, Speak Up Brother.
Cool. Speak Up Brother is an ode to 90s Black love films. It is our golden age of Black romance films, which I say Black romance films just to put them where we need them right now. But those were just romance films that were labeled as Black films so that they didn't do as well as they should, even though they're like cult classics to us. Those are just romance films. But the detail and the culture and all of it is just so special, and has brought our love of filmmaking into a lot of things. So Love Jones is obviously one of those pieces, and this is kind of our ode to Love Jones in our own way. Real lot of nostalgia in that, and what that means. Also incorporated spoken word throughout the film.
Oh my God!
To me, Black spoken word is Black Shakespeare, and I've studied all of the Bard, and I'm very proficient in spoken word as well. So to me, combining the usage of text and that is Black poetry, is Black Shakespeare. And also there's mental health piece of it, which is beautiful. My character in the film is in therapy, and I think that comes back to the conversation that we said, normalizing things that we don't as a community talk about. If you see a brother who you either think is cool, or you think he's whatever it may be, you see you in that, or whatever it is. If you see him in therapy, then hopefully, when you're hollering with your homies, then maybe the conversation will be a bit more open, and one or two of you might go, but it's just about normalizing these things on screen, and making that impact also through this art that's also going to make that money, like at the same time, like so there's a way to do all of these things, and we're hoping that we've kind of cornered that with that. But yeah, Speak Up is our next thing coming. We're hoping to be shooting fairly soon this year, and have that out right after our Silent Partner comes out.
Hopefully for Valentine's Day.
All right.
Nice.
What about Harlem Fragments? Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, I'll hop in. Yeah, so Harlem Fragments, again, as our third project in the slate, it is ambitious in the sense of, its backdrop on kind of its first landscape is Harlem, infiltrating, space, memories. So it plays a lot with the manipulation of time and space as a storytelling device, which again, I think Rod put it so eloquently earlier, right? These are all films that are Black protagonist led, right? But they're films for everybody. They're films made for somebody, across the globe, like, in Germany to like resonate with, because it's about ultimately the cores of children, families, parents alike going through turmoil with a backdrop such as divorce, right? It explores those kinds of values and foundations, and also just through this level of vulnerability, I think that we don't really see often portrayed on screen, right? Because these are the spaces of community that we're looking to help, for Black folks to process their emotions, especially when we come from households that maybe might not practice that or put that out into the world and the universe. So that's you can go to therapy, you can do these things. So for us, that's what we want to explore with it. And so as that being the third project, that one's my directorial debut, and so. Again, Rod is one of the leads in this film, and he's playing a variant of my own father, in his story, and climbing the mountaintop after being drafted to Nam at 18, and then taking it out to the other side, getting his education through the GI Bill, and then starting a family in America, in New York, as a Black man navigating Wall Street. And just kind of exploring that question of what that philosophical discussion of what is what equates to the American dream, what equates to happiness, right? What is the Black perfect couple, all of these things. I think again we don't often see on screen, and I think especially in this method of storytelling, we have not ever seen that. So it's all exciting stuff, and this is the last film that we have as our short film on the festival circuit currently, and that one has been at about 100 plus film festivals and making our rounds this year. So we're going to Miami for American Black Film Festival with this film. We're going to Martha's Vineyard Afro American Film Festival. We were NAACP Image Award shortlisted for Outstanding Short Film. We went to Bronze Lens in Atlanta last year with this. We won at Essence Film Festival with this film. So, we like to stay cooking on all of our projects.
Beautiful. And I guess, in terms of the landscape, I remember some years back when, what was it? I think it was, Jim Carrey. He got I think it might have been Ace Ventura, like $20 million, right? For that one film and whatnot. What has changed on the landscape? Why? I don't see those big paydays now, but I do see a lot of the actors are doing executive producers. Is that how the revenue stream comes? Tell me, guys, break it down for me, please.
Yeah, I mean, and just to speak to it quickly, and then Rod can hop in as an actor himself, writer, producer, and same goes for Salma as well, as an actor producer. I think again, I think there's more agency, not by the industry enabling it. I think it's folks having the opportunity to become more self-aware with more ability to go out and create these lanes for ourselves and carve out these lanes, right? I think a lot of the historically in these system setups, right? It's all right, actor stays over here. We come in and hire them and contract them and set up and structure their whole deal, right? But what happens when you're an actor involved in the process from the jump, right? I think a funny snapshot to go from Jim Carrey is to look at, like, let's say look at the 90s, like let's say look at the early 2000s, right? Ashton Kutcher, he did like modeling, got into acting, and then got his own reality TV show, Punk. And I think that was his first taste of like, oh wait, I can have control of my projects. And so that's just a case study of like these landscapes and kind of expanding through your own pioneership of how can we kind of commandeer the vessel and start creating our own projects. And so I think that's kind of the biggest expansion. But yeah, Rod can get more into it.
I mean, I think Cam said it, all pretty beautifully. I also would say to the 20 mil and to the, what you just said, Coogler went from Fruitvale to 90, right? Like, so I believe very strongly that, in the next couple of years, at least, we'll be shooting 20 mil films and doing that because of the doors that people like that have opened, like just by doing their work, and because of like our mission, our efficiency on it, and the way that we've set it up, that's definitely the goal. But, we talk about it in all of our other communities, how to become self-sufficient as a people, and I think that when we constantly have to be looking to be verified or justified and as when they're telling us that, you know, we might not be capable, or they can't, you know, all of the positions, you can't find them in certain things. And, you know, we you know, it's about building. We built an all Black creative team, you know, and made this piece with that. You know, you, once you debunk all those things and show that, not only does it open opportunities for us in their spaces, because now we've proven it, you know, but we've now built our own spaces to also do it, and so we don't have to prove anything. It's just, you know, in the work. But you know, that agency, as Cam said, without having a studio, or without having whatever it is the only way to allow us to tell our stories in the most authentic way. Unless you're Denzel Washington, you have all of the, you know, you're like, which is amazing, you know. And he even said, you know, it's culture, it's not color. It's culture, it's not color. That's the difference in how we feel and see these things. So we just kind of we believe in taking that agency and showing what's possible. And the numbers will follow in that same way, so that it's not such a discrepancy over what we're shooting, and you're not seeing those 20 mils and those 100 mils. Those are all, you know, they're out there.
Gotcha. Night Watchman, you know what it is, man? Can you say lightning round?
Lightning round. Oh no. What's this?
Yes.
Can I just add one thing to what
Yes, you can.
just said? The foundation really, I think, for us as creatives is authentic storytelling that says something, you know, that has a purpose. And what is not replicable, not what is not replicable, is just this team. You know, we have worked together for now the last 4 years, almost 5, really producing high quality, extremely high quality films, you know, from the written page to the shoot at speed and for reasonable cost with high efficiency, right? That model is what is going to allow us to win at the end of the day economically too, because we can have many films out. We know how to make these work, you know, but the foundation, very much so, is what is the story you're trying to tell. And so when you add the execution piece on top of that, you have a winning team. So I just wanted to.
Beautiful. So y'all, we're getting to that lightning round. So Cam, last thoughts. What should we look for next? Do tell. Go.
Look for Silent Partner, look for Speak Up Brother, and look for Harlem Fragments, and watch Black Man films. These guys put it best. You know, this is what we're here to do, and no one's doing it like us, and you know, we're doing it without any resources currently. So
there it goes. Beautiful. Rod, you're up.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes. I mean, the same things, you know, follow us, look up all the things, come and join us in like this movement for our community, for the film, you know, all of the things, you know, as Sam said, at Black Man Films, at Silent Partner, at Speak Up Brother, updates on all of those things coming super soon. And we're excited to announce what's next.
Salma, maybe it's because I'm married that I always give the wife the last word. So go.
And if you want to join us on this movement, feel free to reach out. I am Salma, Salma, like Salma Hayek, at blackmanfilms with an S.com. And we're specifically looking for people who want to be investors or donors or supporters in terms of distribution, marketing for the films. So right now you can get involved in all of our films financially and invest, as well as in our company. So if there's any venture capitalists out there, private equity people, or really general investors GPs who want to invest in an incredible media and production company, contact us.
Beautiful. Night Watchman, I think that's your cue to take us home. What do you think, man?
I think I'll do that. So you've been listening to Soul Lounge Primetime on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Also live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. You can always find us on Monday nights, 7 o'clock on the radio and 8 o'clock live on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for our guests for sharing your efforts, your points of view, and your work. And we look forward to seeing it all on the big screen and eventually all screens.
So, Night Watchman, are you telling me that they will all be invited back to the cookout?
Absolutely. We might even have an outdoor screening at the cookout.
Hey, don't let us on the grill, because you know.
Let's do it.
Oh,
Zach, you are
Damn.
immediately with that grill. That's
Got
going
it.
to be amazing.
All right.
beautiful, beautiful.